Saul became very angry. And this saying was displeasing to him. Therefore he said, they have ascribed to David 10,000s, but me they have ascribed thousands. Now what remains to him but to have the kingdom? So Saul was suspicious of David from that day forward. I can just see it. I can see it. David had done nothing to deserve this. He was faithful to Saul. And now Saul was suspicious of his motives. David became the target of Saul's paranoia. Double-minded leaders need deliverance. Do I need to say it again? That was a good time to say amen. Leaders who are suspicious of everyone around them will use their power and their authority to destroy the targets of their suspicion. Saul eventually tried to murder David. Have you ever been around somebody who was suspicious of everyone? No, never? I told you you need to learn this. See, these people, they think everybody's out to get them. They don't trust anybody. This can be a sign of instability. This is a sign of double-mindedness. Saul's fear ultimately led him to disobedience. Ultimately led him to do things that were contrary to God's covenant, God's law, and caused him to lose his kingdom. 1 Samuel 15, verses 22 through 26, it says, But Samuel replied, Does the Lord delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as much as in obeying the Lord? To obey is better than sacrifice, and to heed is better than the fat of rams. For rebellion is like the sin of divination, and arrogance like this evil of idolatry. Because you have rejected the word of the Lord, he has rejected you as king. Then Saul said to Samuel, I have sinned. I have violated the Lord's command and your instructions. I was afraid of the men, so I gave in to them. Now I beg you, forgive my sin and come back with me, so that I may worship the Lord. But Samuel said to him, I will not go back with you. You have rejected the word of the Lord, and the Lord has rejected you as king of Israel. See, this is a picture of double-mindedness. This is what happens when you get double-minded. You'd rather look good in front of the people than look good in front of God. You'd rather you can become religious. We can say the right things and believe a different thing in our heart. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. I've had many people say the right things to me on the outside, knowing full well that what they really believe in their heart. They're double-minded, double-souled. Just lean over to your neighbors. I think I know who those people are. Lean over to your other neighbors. He's talking about me. So here, just let me close off on Saul. It says that many of the manifestations of double-mindedness in this verse, there's many manifestations. Saul's disobedient, so he has disobedience. He's compromised. He's full of rebellion, stubbornness, fear, rejection. So those are roots of what double-mindedness looked like. Saul is the epitome of double-mindedness. Because he never fully walked according to God's will or God's ways, he also experiences divine rejection. Okay, let me give you one more biblical example and then we'll close. Now this is probably the best of all the examples because this shows the demonic activity manifested in two people. Ahab and Jezebel. Ahab and Jezebel. Now, as we analyze Ahab and Jezebel, we have to understand that these two individuals, these two personalities, represent what God hates. And our picture of the two personalities within double-mindedness is namely rejection and rebellion. In other words, if I can explain to you that in the demonic realm, demons have, when demons work in our lives, and you say, well, I'm a Christian, how can I have a demon? Well, you can have anything you want. You may not be demon possessed, but demons have a tendency to play with our minds. They have a tendency to come into where there's vacuums or where there's And in the case of rejection, when people have been rejected, the two personalities that play against each other are rebellion, playing off of rejection. So rejection and rebellion are the two personalities of the double-minded person, double-minded soul. And you can see these things manifest, and you're going to, as I showed them to you, I want you to see this, first of all, in your own life, because they happen this way. But more importantly, as you see them through the eyes of the scriptures, as they depict Jezebel and Ahab. Now, God gave this story so that you and I can learn for ourselves. These are pictures. You know, I'm not calling anybody here a Jezebel or an Ahab. Okay, I didn't say that. But you may see some of those tendencies because that's exactly what God wants you to see. Okay? So in 1 Kings, the 16th chapter, the 30th verse, and verse 33, it says, Ahab, the son of Omri, did more evil in the sight of the Lord than all who went before him. That's a lot of evil. Ahab made an Asherah and did more to provoke the Lord God of Israel to anger than all the kings of Israel who preceded him. So, Ahab was Israel's 7th king. He's known for promoting the worship of Baal and Ashtoreth worship. Okay? And he is the one who really advanced the cause of temple prostitution, in which men and women volunteered to serve as prostitutes in order to raise money for religious activities. He is also known for having occasional bouts of righteousness. But he was very quickly led away from God by the influence of his manipulative, heathen wife, Jezebel. In 1 Kings 16:31, it says, the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, were seen as minor for him to walk in, for he took Jezebel, the daughter of Ethbaal, king of the Sidonians, as his wife, and went and served Baal and worshipped him. During the reign of Ahab and Jezebel, sexual rites of all kinds took place in God's temple. Homosexuality, bestiality, and every disgraceful perversion that you can think of was taking place at that time. Unfortunately, we live in a world where, because of this same rejection, the same double-mindedness, there is a proliferation of these kind of activities in our world today. And it is looked down as, well, I guess this is just the way things are. It's normal now, right? But a lot of it is tied to spiritual things. At this time, people, especially women, but both men and women, were worshipped because of their physical beauty. There was such an emphasis on physical beauty. And they were worshipped because of it. The display of sexual organs was widespread. The uncovering of sexual organs, or the making of these images that were sexual in their nature. The whole idea behind, and if you want to study this, you can go into great detail, but the whole idea behind it, today they call them peace poles. You know what those are? Have you ever seen these peace poles? Have you ever seen these monoliths, these that are all over the world? Well, those are really go back to the ancient times of the Egyptians, and they go back to the ancient times of the Baals, and those are phallic symbols. They're sexually construed, and they have a lot to do with the worship of false gods. Now, today, you and I, we say, well, they're a piece of art, or they're a monolith, or they're something, they're a tribute, they're a symbol, and while that may be true, the deeper meaning, the thing behind that is sexual. And it was very much tied, and is still very much tied in the minds of the people that do this stuff, to worship of a false god. And if you read what's on many of them, they are dedicated to this God. Not the God of the universe, not the creator God, but the God that these people serve and worship. In 1 Kings 14:23, it says, for they also build for themselves high places and images, and groves on every high hill and under every green tree. That word groves is found in the King James Version of the Bible 17 times. 15 of those are references to Ashtoreth and idolatrous temple worship. Now, these services that they held were held outside in groves of trees near the temple, and there were huge carvings of both male and female sexual organs that were on display and worshipped. This is what Ahab allowed into Israel through Jezebel, his heathen wife. Lust and perversion are a part of the rejection personality. Ahab is a picture of the inward manifestation of a double-minded man, double-mindedness. That inward personality, or that inward manifestation, is rejection. Rejection. Ahab is full of fear, sexual lust, insecurity, self-pity, fantasy, depression, envy, jealousy, hopelessness, guilt, shame, and pouting. Jezebel is a picture of the outward manifestation of double-mindedness. Rebellion. She's filled with stubbornness, self-will, selfishness, confrontation, control, possessiveness, hatred, resentment, murder, bitterness, witchcraft, and idolatry. So, we have a perfect picture of how these two personalities fed each other. These two people fed each other and fed each other to do more and more wickedness. In 1 Kings, the 21st chapter, the 4th to the 7th verse, it says, So Ahab went home, sullen and angry, because Naboth the Jezreelite had said, I will not give you the inheritance of my ancestors. He lay on his bed sulking and refused to eat. His wife Jezebel came in and asked him, Why are you so sullen? Why won't you eat? He answered her, Because I said to Naboth the Jezreelite, Sell me your vineyard, or if you prefer, I will give you another vineyard in its place. But he said, I will not give you my vineyard. Jezebel, his wife, said, Is this how you act as king over Israel? Get up and eat. Get up. I'll get your vineyard. I'll get the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite. See, these two people worked together to advance wickedness in Israel. This is a picture of how rejection and rebellion personalities work together and reinforce each other in the double-minded person, or the double-minded leadership of a nation. These two personalities must be pulled apart and cast out. They both need to be destroyed within the mind within the double-minded person. See, God judged Ahab and Jezebel and removed them both from Israel. They brought so much trouble to Israel. They brought devastation to the country. This double-mindedness brings devastation to a marriage, to your own personality. This devastation that they brought to Israel was so bad that the 10 northern tribes never recovered. They were eventually swallowed up by the Assyrians, and only the 2 southern tribes of Judah remained. Now, let me bring it home. It's not uncommon to find both of these spirits working inside of an individual. They need each other to draw strength from each other. Jezebel couldn't do what she did without Ahab, and Ahab couldn't do what he did without Jezebel. Jezebel entered Israel through the marriage and brought Baal worship into Israel. Ahab also used Jezebel to do his dirty work. So they worked together, just like rejection and rebellion work together in yours and my life. I think the best picture I can give you of double-mindedness is the picture of 2 hands joined together, covenanted together, clenched together. And the thing that has to happen is, because they almost are like one, they have to be pried apart. These personalities have to be pried apart and eventually renounced and cast out if you're going to be a free person. Jezebel was domineering, manipulative, and seductive. She intimidated, threatened, lied, and did whatever it took to accomplish her end. She had Naboth killed in order to possess his vineyard for her husband. She also murdered the prophets of God and threatened Elijah's life. She was vengeful and vindictive. She was evil. She was wicked. And there was no peace while Jezebel was active. In fact, in 2 Kings 9:22, it says, when Joram saw Jehu, he asked, have you come in peace, Jehu? How can there be peace, Jehu replied, as long as all the idolatry and witchcraft of your mother Jezebel abound? Guys, where there is this kind of wickedness, there is no peace. Where there's double-mindedness, there is no peace, and you can receive nothing from God. That's why we have to deal with it. Rebellion is a wicked personality that needs to be renounced and cast out. Until we see how wicked it is, you'll tolerate it. And if you're going to tolerate it, you'll remain in bondage. Ahab was lustful, weak, fearful, and tolerated wickedness. He allowed Jezebel to bring in the worship of Baal. He was passive. He would not stand up for righteousness. Anybody know who I'm talking about? Passive, would not stand up for righteousness. His inward and withdrawn personality, that's also wickedness. And it needs to be renounced and cast out. God hates this passiveness, this passive resistance. He hates it. He hates it just as much as he hates rebellion. Rejection and rebellion are both demonic and hateful in God's eyes. In 1 Kings chapter 21, verses 20 to 22, Ahab said to Elijah, so you have found me, my enemy. I love this passage. I have found you, he answered, because you have sold yourself to do evil in the eyes of the Lord. He says, I'm going to bring disaster on you. I will wipe out your descendants and cut off from Ahab every last male in Israel, slave or free. I will make your house like that of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, and of Baasha, the son of Ahijah, because you have aroused my anger and have caused Israel to sin. See, God judged Ahab. God judged his household, everything in his household, because of his wickedness. God hates this personality because it is wicked. Ahab is idolatrous, compromising, lustful, covetous, and weak. He was a rejected man who married and was connected to a rebellious woman. God judged Jezebel for her wickedness. You can read this in 2 Kings chapter 9. He caused the dogs to eat her. The dogs ate her. I love the Bible. It's so graphic. The dogs ate her. Jezebel was eaten by the dogs. She was ruthless. She was murderous, treacherous, idolatrous, seductive, controlling, intimidating, and wicked. She was a rebellious woman who was full of witchcraft. Ahab men are double-minded and compromised. 1 Kings 20, the Bible says that the powerful Syrian army came twice against Israel. Both times, a prophet of God came to Ahab and told him that God was going to give a mighty miracle to Ahab and defeat the Syrians. And twice, God did rout and defeat the Syrian army. Twice. For Ahab. And yet Ahab never once turned and returned to God and worshipped him. But he still inquired of God's prophets when he wanted help. Oh, he'd run to the prophets. Oh, help me, help me, help me. And in the meantime, served and worshipped his ancestors. Worshipped Baal. 2 Kings 22 says, so the king of Israel brought together the prophets, about 400 men, and asked them, shall I go to war against Ramoth-Gilead, or shall I refrain? Go, they answered, for the Lord will give it into the king's hand. Here you have to understand, here's the picture. He's calling together the prophets. He's with Jeroboam, but he doesn't want to call the real prophet of God. And he's seeking prophetic help. Yeah. But when you're double-minded, he didn't even believe this report. Go. He said, no, give me a real prophet now. See, you can't, when you're double-minded, you can't even believe the words that are coming to you. Because you don't trust anything anymore. You're unstable in all of your ways. Ahab men go to church if it's politically correct to do, but for personal gain, not because they love God. See, they witnessed God's miracles in their lives, but they still refused to give God the credit. Jezebel is a witch by every description of the word, by definition and by action. Witchcraft is simply manipulation, domination, control, intimidation through demonic means. She seeks to control the minds of others through lies, complaining, threats, position, shame, pity, whatever else you can use. This condition is something that is rampant in our world today. We have a whole fatherless generation. And with systematic mind control that's taking place in the world today, being practiced at the highest levels of government, media, even in our schools, and now even creeping into the church. We have to be ready to face these demonic strongholds, these demonic attacks, these demonic manifestations of double-mindedness, and do whatever it takes to renounce them and cast them out, and to pursue the single-mindedness that God told us we have. I finally got an amen, so I'll Amen? Amen. So, why am I bringing this message to you? Because I believe that of all the people that have an opportunity in all of our churches around the world, you have an opportunity to become either some of the most single-minded people, or conversely, become some of the most double-minded. In London, you have every distraction. You have every attack to the mind of a believing believer. You have everything to distract you from serving the Lord your God with your whole heart, your whole mind, your whole soul, all your strength. And it can lead you to very double-mindedness, where you can expect to receive nothing from God. On the other hand, you also have access to so much, not only information, but spiritual power as you gather together. But I believe that you can take the knowledge that you have and become a source of great deliverance and power for the people of this society. Of all people that know about double-mindedness, of all people that know about the power and seduction of witchcraft, it's Zimbabweans. You grew up in this, but God has delivered you. Not so that you come back and go into it again in a first world setting, but so that you come and help deliver people out of their double-mindedness. Many of our brothers and sisters, many of the people of London are just being lulled to sleep, slowly lulled to sleep, into a double-minded state. They don't know what's right and wrong anymore. They don't know which is the way forward. They're just giving peace and comfort at all costs. Not willing to take a stand for anything. Don't even know what's right anymore. Don't even know if it's a righteous cause. The confusion that's being bred systematically is just that. It's to bring confusion and bring people to a place of inability to think, inability to take action, inability to stand up for the truth, inability to be the person that you know that God made you to be. Simply confused, simply lost, simply, I don't know what to do. So we give up. Well, if you do that, you bought into the devil's plan. If you stand up, if you become fully persuaded in your heart and your mind, oh, let me tell you something. If the Bible says that the double-minded man is unstable in all his ways and should expect to receive nothing from God, the converse of that also is true. Be true. The single-minded man is stable in all their ways and should expect to receive everything from God. So today, I feel very prophet-like. So I put before you life and death, blessing and cursing, and I say choose. Now I know that this message was for people that aren't here today, so would you please get it to those people, because because I know none of you need it. Is that right? But in case there's one or two people that say, I think I might have a little, just a little bit that I'd like to deal with, I'm going to give you an opportunity to respond. If you feel like, Pastor, this is something that is pricked my conscience, it's dealing with my heart, I want to deal with it. I'm just going to ask you to stand down and pray. So, Father, I thank you for these men and women. I thank you, Father, that I believe as we brought the pressure to bear of the Word of God on our lives. Father, you said we would know the truth, and the truth would make us free. But Father, it's not just knowing about it in our heads, it's the truth that we know that we act upon, that we choose to go to the banquet. So Father, my prayer is that you would help my brothers and sisters to go to the next step. That they would face these things, that they would deal with them, that they would go through the process of separating the double-minded roots, the rebellion and the rejection, the effect of rejection, the effect of the roots of rejection from a nation that's been rejected, from a people that's been rejected, whether it be through the whole idea of colonialism, whether it be through the idea of fatherlessness, whether it be through the idea of poor or lacking leadership in the nation. Father, we recognize our wavering like Israel. We recognize our paranoia and our selfishness and our incredible insecurity like Saul. Father, we see the rebellion and we see the rejection like Jezebel and Ahab. Father, forgive us. Father, we ask that now you would not give us rest until you've helped us to extrapolate ourselves from this situation. Undo the chains that bind us. We bind these things in our life. We renounce them in Jesus' name. We say we no longer want to have anything to do with a double-minded heart or mind. We ask you, Lord, that you would cause us to now face our enemies and become single in purpose and single in mind and take action against our double-minded ways. And Father, my prayer is that you would reveal the pathways of life to my brothers and sisters. And then, Father, through pastoring of each other, through beginning to trust each other, love each other, that you would cause ministry to take place in each other's hearts. I pray this in Jesus' name. Now, as you're standing there, most of you stood up. Would you, and those of you that are seated, join in groups of 2 or 3, and maybe just confess your weakness one to another. The Bible says, confess your faults to each other. Minister to one another. You know what? You don't need a prophet. I don't need to prophesy over you. I don't need to. You don't need a man of God to deliver you. You need to deliver yourselves. You need to say, hey, listen, I'm going to confess to you. I got head between the eyes on this one, man. This double-minded thing, I got to work on. And just be honest. Just talk to each other for just and trust somebody for just a minute. I don't think there's anybody here that is going to take what you say and put it on Facebook. We're in church, folks. We love each other. Help me. Help me. Amen. And if they do, then God help them. So you don't have to stand in those seats. You can spread around, and we'll take about 5 to 7 minutes to do this. And then I'll have